Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri and Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive. We are all excited because this is the second part 2 to continue the discussion with Dr. Rouse. Remember, last week we had part 1. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph. I have here with me, as usual, is my colleague.
Hi, everyone. I am Terri and Joseph Brathwaite, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. And I am looking forward to part 2 because Jennifer last week really, it blew my mind. I mean, we training, retirement is training, it's just 5 years to train. So
and this session promises to be just as exciting.
So we know you all don't want to hear from us with no such a old talk. So we're going to step part 2 into. So everybody, welcome back. We are back at it again. We said last week we were doing part 1. We looked at your train for retirement. Now, the wrap session is on the 26th of May, remember? And we're here with Dr. Rouse again. So we're exploring something that is another big issue in the third act stage. And not, ladies are not using retirement again, and because we know that's a little 5-year transition period.
Yeah,
that's right. New definition.
Dr. Rouse, we want to ask the question, how loyal have you been to your passions? Dr. Rouse, do we have an issue with us, the 5.8G cohort, not being loyal to our passions on the third act stage?
Yeah. And I would even go so far as to say big time, because some were disappointed with how the disability, they don't like to use the word, so I would just say challenges of the physical. It's almost like it gave out on them. And as a result, they felt, in spite of their life before, how they weren't total blindside. And you find now that their money, because it costs, infirmity costs. MRI, X-ray,
tablets,
and well, a good term, assistive devices, meaning walker, wheelchair, you name it. Also, some have had to retrofit the house. I know of many in the 50s, they reach 60 years, they took early retirement, not expecting in 2 years, they can't go upstairs anymore, where the room was. So they had to now fit a powder room like a toilet and bath. Not bath yet, toilet first. And actually retrofit by flooring had to change to non-skid. Fixtures had to change for lighting, And I think that because they never thought, they had a kind of, it was a lot of blame they put on themselves, like for being, some got angry. You could actually look at the contours of their faces and see anger, not so much like disappointment or a softer one, but more anger for having given so much to so many, and they were not to me. They were not to themselves. And that's an anger. It shows on all the contours. Everything is tight, and they get hard. They get hard, you know. And we who are, let us call it for one, able-bodied to a large extent, don't matter if we even try to use empathic words and terms, we will never be able to say, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Trying to sort of comfort them, no, because you have to be in it to some extent. Now, what I have seen happen with some of them, I can't say most or whatever, but some of them, they disengaged. And they would make an excuse why they're not coming. It's not that they don't want to. That is the sadder part of it, because they feel that it is an imposition, not only in the fact that they have to have now like either somebody else with them, to, even if you were driving, but you will take longer to even board the car, longer to disembark from the car, longer to go up the steps of the place, because not all our places of entertainment are user-friendly. And it becomes to them so onerous that their escape is, you go ahead. Let us say it was Rudder show. I see all Rudder shows, but they really wanted to go to his farewell, you know? But so many things have to be in place before. Like you have to be aware, if you are the person who are taking them, you should be aware where the toilets are, how the chairs are, because sometimes it's just those ones you just open, the whites, and you can't just hold it to sit down, all of that. Your heart really goes out. Those are the ones that require a little more innovativeness and alertness. You see, on their friends, on their talking to them is one thing, but you have to, it's a coercion. You have to coerce. You have to work with them because they weren't expecting this.
Yeah.
And then only to discover that in case they were only asking themselves how I get this and whatever, maybe sometimes a relative will say, well, listen, that in your family, you know, in case you didn't know, it is genetic. Now that is another thing.
Yeah.
Because there are some who are predisposed to, let us say, diabetes. But yet, in the working life and even nearing in their 40s, and so you would hear them say, oh God, Gail, that black kid call me. And you would hear them say, whatever, call them. And so when now it exploded, now that they have this time, and they realize now from a more sedentary lifestyle, it almost creeping in now to them, where because of not, you know, the saying, when you don't use it, you lose it. That is where now the alertness of people around. Now, I know Jen usually may ask some very provocative question and may ask,
I'm just waiting on you to complete.
Yeah, what about the one who living alone?
I need to disagree on something you said, but not disagree.
Say it.
But change the age a bit. I am listening. I hear you. I hear you.
Yes.
But when I thinking of passion, and I hear you in terms of, and you said it in our part one, about activity. All right. And passion is not just loving, well, how I will interpret it. When I say I'm passionate about something, I love whatever that is. But you want to be part of it. You want to be active. And you did talk about activity.
Correct.
So I want to, and the scenarios that you just spoke about, what hit me when you're talking and saying, but Dr. Rouse, I understand those who really can't do much.
Right. What about the ones who
But
can?
I want to deal with us. As I say, us.
And I have a good example.
Who's still active. And the passion I'm thinking, and I'm referring to me.
Yeah.
So if you enter this phase, and you know, Terri and said it earlier, we not the 5 years, we give you the 5 years to retire and transition and do your thing.
Transition. Be ready now.
Whatever age you retire, we give you up to 65
to train.
to do your thing. All right? But in this to that stage, I think when you're passionate about something, you could be active, get involved in different ways. And this is what I just want to bring
You
out.
were using yourself as an example. Like,
okay,
look what you're doing.
I'm
Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing.
I'm passionate about plenty things.
Right.
But the help is what I think I was careful with. And again, that comes to the readiness, the training
Right.
before.
Right.
That knowing that I'm passionate about connecting with people.
Right.
And that I like to do that. And you started that and you feel energetic about it. You do it.
Right.
Now I am passionate about many other things. But I believe if we don't get actively involved in what we're passionate with, this is where the problem is. And I want to draw one example. I was hanging with a group of people. I didn't know much about them. And one particular person, she started by saying, and this is what triggered me saying what I'm saying here. She started by saying, you know, I am diabetic and I can't do, like if diabetes is like
a death sentence.
Now, this is somebody who looked very nice, came out, they were encouraged by a friend and the friend brought them out. And we do it. And the activity we're going to do have nothing to do with you getting up and do anything. It's board games you play. So you
correct.
You don't have to shift. All right?
Good.
So of course you invited all of us.
Right.
And her comment was, oh gosh, I don't know if I could do this. And in my mind, I said, do what? What? Luckily, someone else was there say, I'm also diabetic and I belong to so and
you see?
And,
thank you.
And I would hate for people to watch me and say, look at that person, why label yourself? And this is what I come into.
Remember the point.
So I'm saying, so after the person said, look, I'm diabetic and I could play, and every one of us say, I am this, I say, I am hypertensive. Somebody said it, this, that. And all of us, all excited. She said, oh, came involved in the game and was so involved, was able to teach us a thing or two. And at the end of it, if you see the difference with that person who will disposition.
Thank you.
So I just say
how
that
you
because
label.
If you really, and what happened, she revealed that one of the games we were playing, she loved it. She said she played as a child.
Thank you.
She hadn't played it for years. And when we started, it came back to her. So I think we really, on this stage, have to be careful how we label
language.
And that might prevent us from enjoying our passion. I just needed to say that.
Because you know, when we have
being disloyal to our passion.
Being disloyal.
Yes.
That is what it is. Because when we're using this word passion, that is if disallowed and you're constantly deferring, but it's like a pebble in your shoe, you know, because it gnaws at you. It gnaws at you. I mean, and as Jen said, I have more than one passion. But up to now, every time I go in a pan yard and I listen to the pan, because I like to hear the drum in my chest, and I am like, boy, when you're going back to play the pan, you know? Because that is one of my passions. I played for 2 panoramas and I want to go back, not necessarily for the panorama, but to just play the instrument again, you know? Not studying that is a standing instrument, and I am now 30 or 40 years older, and that doesn't impinge on when you really have a passion, because passion has an energy of its own. And we're appealing to our viewers and listeners here now. You may try how you could to deny that passion, to push it back, to not talk about it, but it gnaws at you. You have to release it. At some point, you have to own it and say, you know, I always had this desire to, let us say, be a DJ. And no, because you know, my father was so strict, and your father, all that gone. And that was one of the points we were talking off camera when we say we hold on to our old patterns and always see ourselves as if bound by that, not recognizing that the persons who actually created the cage or the box or the whatever, they're no longer on your stage, either through death, they're gone away, they whatever, but you are still, you know, they always say, like, if you keep, like, your rare chickens till they become now to poultry now that you have to sell. Mm-hmm. After a while, they start turning on themselves, good, because you have them in this cage, and then sometimes they have to clip the beak. But there comes a time that even if you open the cage, they don't run out.
They come out.
They don't come out because they forgot what even freedom is.
Yeah.
Nothing is holding them back. Huh? They just open the, and even if you do shoot, they're not gonna move because they have adapted to the confines of that space. And I think many of us find ourselves there. One of the ways that works for me, I speak to myself in third person. I say, Rouse, what's your story? You know, and sometimes I could laugh at myself. And I say, sometimes you reflect. You see, time in retirement, there must be time that you spend in reflection. The things that induce reflection, you have a little space where a hammock could hang up. Go and put the little hammock now and lie down in it, and you will be amazed. Like a baby, you don't always sleep, but your mind. Mm-hmm. You see, this could make you or break you, you know, mm-hmm. because you could afford to remember all the things you failed at and were not good at, and you're still riding with them. Yeah. And you now have to wade through all of that to then speak to yourself firmly and say, no, that has gone. We're dealing with you now. Sometimes it's even good to go in the mirror and say, you are here now. Where are you going from today? What it is you like? And then when it occurred to you, you know, I really like gardening. I like to see my little plants. You know, Terri had really tell me someday she was going up, I think in Sawa area or whatever, to a plant shop. Let me ring now. You see that? Let me ring. It means you have to exert effort. Effort that we spoke of with the last part. Mm-hmm. If you don't exert that effort and start now rationalizing, but let me look at the time, I might be disturbing. All this is self-talk to it. I might be disturbing Terri and I'm going now to go and up. Hello, this is your passion that you want to now develop and bring into reality, because there is nothing like when an idea's time has come. Mm-hmm. If you miss it, that's gone again. You have now no excuse. Eh? Yeah. And you go into the plant shop and then you just feel a different, listen, you feel at one with the whole environment that you go to there. As simple a thing as that, you know.
Yeah. Dr.
It is as simple as that.
If I may also say, you know, sure. When we look at this topic, are you disloyal to your passions? And yeah. I'm back again with that issue with loyalty. And a lot of our problem hinges on guilt, because if it is about me, then I am ignoring you or displacing you And to be fair, a lot of us had to set aside those passions to facilitate life, to facilitate family, to facilitate
Others.
promotion,
Others.
even our own development, and which was all correct on the second act stage. But we come back to the concept that we exposed last week, where after we retired, the little 5 years, the 3 years transition,
yeah,
the time is yours, and you are the boss of that time. And I hear you, Jennifer, because a lot of us, when we sit down and we are bored and we have nothing to do, we still not doing the self-reflection to say, so what was I passionate about? I have the time now. I am the boss of this time.
No excuse.
What's stopping me from going and doing the little course in the Ministry of Agriculture to learn gardening? Or the little photography course in Whitehap, or the little go by Janora's and do the sewing, or Jimmy Abood and do the sewing course, or the upholstery course. Because we have to rekindle the passion. Correct. Now, last time, Dr. Rouse, we talked about fear being something that stops.
Yeah.
And I want to be provocative, and I can understand fear stopping, but would that lack of self-effort, aka laziness, allow us to be disloyal to our passion? Because we are so sensitive to loyalty. We've been loyal all of our lives.
Correct.
Would laziness, because you have the time, you have the ability,
laziness,
stop
laziness and indiscipline, they go together.
And laziness. Stop you from really reaching that thing that will give you so much fire and intensity in your life? Yes, Jen?
Yes, Jen.
No, saying, can you add doubt into that in terms of doubting your ability to do something, because you don't want to be seen as a failure, and that, you know, and you feel if you get out there, because this is something you always wanted to do but never tried it for all the reasons Terri and just explained, but that doubt, and I'm replacing fear with doubt here, all right? That doubting yourself that maybe I will look bad, or I could be the oldest there, or like the laugh. Swimming is something I need. I just never learned to swim for all kind of reasons. Or I attempted many times, right? But so recently they're telling a friend, she said, "You're gonna be the oldest." She said, "Yeah, shame, you're gonna be the oldest person there."
And so make sure you put on the pink floats, eh?
So sometimes shame could hold you back. I'm just thinking.
But you said something.
And now, if my friend had said, "Jennifer, I'll go with you as against," tell me, yeah, shame, you're too old. I mean, you know, I determine, right? So I'm going regardless. I'm going to get a private person and do it. But I'm just saying that sometimes doubt or shame, doubt in your ability, or being ashamed, especially being at this stage in life, knowing how the hateful remarks some people could make, that you hold back yourself.
Guess what? I'll surprise you. In the developmental chart, and I'm not using this as if any blueprint, in how we mature, how we grow. This is from birth to senescence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Life sets us tasks, and they have challenges to those tasks. If you don't have a challenge, you're not going to master this task. Good? The world is not all blue. Do you know on that chart, the first one, and this is what I'm going to tell you, the building blocks to where that shame, doubt came from is in your first 5 years, which means first 5 to 7 years, when you were trying because the first stage is lonely, misery, mistrust, stage 1. So your task is trust. Your challenge is betrayal, disappointment, whatever. To challenge this. In experiencing it, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you will just continue trusting. Now you will trust knowing that, hey, not everything you see is. So now you will have what they call discrimination now. Because you're now looking through it, you get hurt. Do you know the second task on the chart is autonomy, meaning self-starter, initiative. That initiative is the next one. Do you know the task for the autonomy is shame and doubt? The 2 words you use. So that's since in your childhood, somebody shut you down when you wanted to do something. And they say, you are a girl, where you going? Whatever. Or you are this, why are you so selfish or self-centered? They would use all those pejorative words. And you, in your little child's mind, dumb down. Because here how you might have worked it out. You didn't like to know that you upset your mom. Your mom looked really upset. You follow? And as a result, you don't want to do that again. So you now, in your little
stay with
child
you into adulthood.
That's right. You got it? So now you have your time to go back there.
You are your own boss.
You can afford to give yourself permission at this stage.
You are
the
boss of your
nobody.
Nobody. And you see those levels, those stages, is 8 stages in all. And those first 4 stages is you on you. That is building now your individuality, who you are as an individual, the building blocks. So they deal with your initiative, your sense of industry. So if you ain't get them things not perfect, but even made the attempt and made the effort to do, in spite of the backlash. Because when you go on an interview now, the first thing they're asking you, are you a self-starter? Some don't even know what it means. Taking the initiative. Now, where we are now in this age group, we want to do now things like volunteerism. You want to do things now that have that unbounded feel about it. But if at the building block stage, every time you try, somebody shoot you down, you don't realize you walking with a pebble in your shoe until you are an adult. Into senescence, you know, man. Until now, your situation has confronted you now. So that is why when we were talking in another place, we were saying, you can't look at all of us and say, but look how Terri and making that look so easy. And why it is I struggling with this? And you follow? We don't know. We don't know where that fear came from, or that, or making others look unhappy because I just want to. And it wasn't done out of selfishness. It's just assertion. But again, they always try to mix assertiveness with aggression and make it feel like, you bombastic, and those were words used. And all again, we were talking about the language and the labels. So when you, like me, when on my report card, they said Jennifer has potential, but she talks too much. So I never used to look at anybody to speak. I would always have my eyes down because I felt it was intimidating. I was made to feel women must be seen and not heard, all these different things. And I just didn't speak. Those things, they deal some blows in our psyche that we're not even aware of until it reaches this stage where now you on you now, big time. You might have passed through marriage, you had children, you have grandchildren now, and now you on you, where you have gone through a lifetime of persons who were always in control of you, telling you what you should do, when you should do it, how you should do it, what house you should be in, what district you should live in, what car you should drive. And every time you wanted to assert, you were told, hello, so all your reasons why not. and not understanding that those little building blocks never formed wholesome enough to say you could do it until you meet somebody who doing it. Just like how we got the example just now of somebody just saying, I have diabetes too. And how I not like you, but you ain't saying it in that crass way, but you're letting her know you are your own death knell. You putting that upon yourself as if it is, well, oh Lord, you know, and I'm always tired and what, you don't have to be. So here is an example, the exact opposite. So what you said there is so telling, but what you said without knowing you said it, you preface your statement by saying, you know, you have that fear of failure. You wouldn't believe what some of my colleagues are afraid of: success. Their fear is not for failure, it's for success. If they succeed now and do the thing how they always wanted to do it, and become that thing, who of the friend, who they already know are not their bosom friends that going all the way with them, but some of them are opportunists. Some of them, there's a whole mix inside that pot, and they're not sure who will ride with them if they go there. So or guess worse, what? They deny.
Or worse, you will have to leave. It's not so much who will have ride with me.
Correct, because there's about you now.
I will have to drop.
Who I will have to drop. Jen, so that is big time.
So at this stage, what I'm hearing, for us at this stage, with the time that we have, we have to understand. We need, and that is where you're talking about reflection. We really need to do some reflection to understand where we came from in terms of what happened in life.
Good, bad, and ugly, Jen. Good, bad, and ugly.
Situations that may have us thinking a certain way or making certain decisions. So it is really important with the reflections for us, talking about within yourself, not within other people, and related to where we want to go with our passion. Precisely. Because, so for instance, and I'm just using me, I like to use myself, I'm very open with the swimming. I'm just using that as swimming. Unless I recognize certain things, but I'm just using this as an example. Unless I recognize, and that's what you're saying, I also have to understand my stages, and at that stage, why I may not have made the decision, why I may have fear or doubt, etc. So in my reflection, I can say it was X, Y, and Z, and then look at a way to work on it. But again, I go back to work on it. You need support. You need help. You need tools. You need to do some training, and I like that word. You need to train and training, whether it's with you know, we're talking about Jamboree rap session too. So in training, it could be just in a rap session to clear up. Because what you have explained there in terms of the different, we may have read that some years ago, but it's so applicable now for us to enjoy the stage in life. We need to hear it from the expert and say, oh, put the blocks together. This is how it is worked. Because if we don't, then we will never learn. I mean, we could go on YouTube. We have different ways to learn. But the important thing is we have to understand where we are. And we have to do it through reflection, so we could go brave to follow our passion in all the different ways. So when we get put down, when they tell you you're too old, or you don't have that skill, or or you feel within because you're suffering from X, Y, and Z.
Exactly, it really
you wouldn't have that kind of that wouldn't be excused.
And you wouldn't be as hard on yourself. You would be more now in sync with desiderata. You follow? Where you gotta be gentle with yourself, because this way it is, you know, like a God short change. And then, you know what it has also helped us do, Jen, in those times of reflection? Like if it was someone of the parents that you were angry at for denying you, in coming to your truth, you would say, that's why you were feeling this way. Then, in the same reflection, you would have to understand, wait a minute. It was 10 of us in the family. Where they getting the time? Where they was getting the time to really deal with each one with a different personality and character.
Yep.
And then you know what comes? Not only a forgiveness, but an empathy, a compassion. A healing. That's the word. That's the word.
Yeah.
And in acknowledging the healing, it opens now your heart. Because the heart is a very delicate organ. Don't mind it pumping all the time. It responds to your sensibilities and your sensitivities. So sometimes when you fighting like a salmon swimming upstream, the heart will close in a little because you're not doing it with that free openness that it should entail. So you have to reach there. This is how you find now persons in our age group are encouraged at times by colleagues to do things like meditation, do some yoga classes, go to the gym and do go to a seniors class because you're now true to your now authentic self. So you don't mind the label, I am in a seniors class. You might boast of it and all you are going to the gym now, you know, and you will laugh and say, imagine seeing me in the senior, but you're going. You're going. And that's what is important. The mere fact, and both of you said it continuously, it is an activity. We're going back to the definition of love. It is knowledge, because now you're talking to yourself. All gloves off. This is you on you. Keeping it real. And you're you on you. And you say, wait, boy. So when all the time I thinking something was wrong with me, and it really was, you know, I never get that time from whether it was my granny or whoever had the time to really sit with me and say, you know, there's the name. And she may not have the perfect model either, but at least we come back to Terri and word, the recognition.
Yeah. And
recognition that you needed that nurturing, that the tomato steak. I always use the tomato steak. And some of us didn't have it. Our rites of passage was trial and error.
Dr. Rouse, I want us to recognize, you know, there are many people who look at this show and they call us and they tell us about how relevant and how what we're talking about gives them courage, it gives them comfort, it gives them all kinds of things.
They're not feeling alone again.
And they're not feeling alone, but they still stay back. So I can look at you all on the TV or on YouTube or Facebook, and I know and I can identify. So I want to zone in and focus on this self-effort thing we're talking about, because I am struck with the power of what we came up with in the last session, which is, this is our time and we are the boss of the time. We have to train ourselves to not be a recipient of instructions or the
a victim of control.
Exactly. Whether it's your children, your spouse, your parents, your teachers, your boss, whoever it is. And if this third act means that I am now in charge of my time, I know I'm leading to a question I want to ask you. I know that self-reflection is going to take us to a place that for which there is no handbook. There is no handbook because we are the first generation that has the luxury of at 50, 55, probably having resources to say we could plan, to say we could make a decision, having the education to be able to think that education is not formal here. Education is awareness in the world. So we have no one who has done what we are telling everybody we have to do. Nobody did it before. So we have to, each one of us as individuals is charting our own course. For somebody who has lived a big portion of their life taking instructions.
Yeah.
You were the manager, you were senior.
Sure.
You still had somebody telling you what to do, and you
Correct.
had a group around you.
Time
Now
bound.
you are on your own. To me, perhaps the awareness that you just revealed about my context as a child and my context as an adult, I may just shake myself and say, I doing what I want to do. I go in and I happen my own thing.
Right.
Yeah. So my question is, to someone facing all this power, potential, self-autonomy, authority, is my time, is my decision. I could decide if it's left, right, forward, north, south, east, and west. That could be a very intimidating responsibility. And for many people, it might be easier to just let me sit down and deal with my diabetes and deal with my bad knee and just forget the passion. So my question is it really that hard? And I hope my question is not insensitive to some of our listeners.
Right.
I'm really exploring and trying to create a path for someone who is just overwhelmed by their power to make a change. Is it that hard to actually start that stretch? I'm going to leap in to start the stretch.
If the person does very careful and realistic reflection, they will understand Rome wasn't built in a day. They will understand everything in life requires process. And when one is charting a course for another chapter in our lives, as we say, another transition into something else, what could be excitement in a way to tone down that daunting intimidating that could even cause you to freeze at times, is the uncertainty of the stages, the process, the stages in the process. Because once you feel the determination and the resoluteness, I going after this. I don't know how long it takes. I don't know where it will take me. I am fearless, because you have to speak. And this is where, you as you, the individual, cannot do it. And I stress this, cannot do it without tapping into your spirituality. Can't do it alone. Because you know why? Ego is talking when it's the individual. When intuition speaks, it's a whisper. And intuition is very clear. Intuition gives you short sentences. Like, it sometimes gives it to you in a question format. You ever considered walking around your house? Ego is, where you going now to start this mammoth undertaking? You follow? And all the derivatives thereof. And then what are you going to do with it after? What you're going to become? How I have simplified it for me, which I am living. We are the butterfly who has to metamorphose, the stages of metamorphosis to go through, from the pupa, the larva, the caterpillar, the chrysalis. All the stages have to be done.
Yeah.
All the stages are at extremely vulnerable points in that process. The larva, the larva, anybody could crush it, kill it, stomp it. But I don't know the attrition rate of the egg butterfly, but some survive, which is why they have so many eggs that have to be laid, because plenty ain't gonna make it. But you are resolute.
Yep.
And this is why you have to now question your God, question your spirituality. I'm not getting into religiosity here. Everybody have their place of worship. But your spirituality, which is your essence, it will, here now, you see that still small voice? There is no deviation and about guesswork, you know, it just speaks.
It's your power. It is your power. And we deny
it's not loud.
That's why
it's
I asked
not
the
loud.
question.
That's why I tell you.
No, go ahead. I just want to make a point after.
Yeah, the ego tries to justify rational, and the ego will start with, so what wrong with you? What wrong with what you have now? Yeah, because it tries to push. Stay where you are, you're comfortable there. You have a good pension, it's going through the whole gamut. But this little voice says, you are sleeping on your power. You have unlimited potential, limitless potential. But I am here to work with you, to support you, to carry you, because your essence, when you really start to dig, is consciousness, because you're now conscious that I exist. I exist. And then if you go a little deeper, you might then realize, but wait, they had to have some kind of engine or something that driving me. Because remember, if you put an alarm clock by a corpse, it's not going to wake. So don't feel this body is all that it is. There's something else. I'm not going into any metaphysics here. This is just reality. So wherever it is, I talk into it. And and you remember when this thing was big in the dance, The Secret, I think it was a DVD with laws of attraction.
Law of attraction and all those kinds of things.
Yes. And I said it in a group that I was in last week, when I said, you know, when I was at school in Maryland, and one day I had on just a cap sleeve. It was spring. And when this class was finished and I got out the class, the wind chill had changed and shifted. And the temperature just dropped. And by the time I got home, sore throat, sneezing. And I just went in the mirror. I didn't know about all of what I'm speaking now. But I just went in the mirror and I say, here what? You have no money. You're a student. You have no money for medication. 2, you have no doctor up here that you know. 3, you have a final exam 2 days away. You cannot be sick. So wherever you coming from, go back. All I have is warm salt water to go and gargle with. I have no money. I'm on a student budget. You know, by next morning, nothing. Good? So it means in your resoluteness, you could talk to you. Like you give it a command. Your body is so flexible. This thing that you speak of, it is so adaptable to change. And then when I now go on and study this whole thing of aging and hear that aging is at a cellular level. We are matter, we are made up of only cells. So if you talk to it and it happens, say, hello, wouldn't it through a law of attraction listen and say, well, okay. And do you know what they are now discovering? That people, some of them cancer, especially when it's in the gut. Their self-talk is so confusing. They want, but there's an energy pulling them to stay. And in that to-ing and fro-ing, they form in their own psyche a blockage, like a traffic jam. And that manifests in the colon that you're hearing now, very prevalent. All the MRI will tell you is there is a mass. They can't tell you what this mass is, but it ain't moving. And the mass, they will take a biopsy of and realize it's not benign, it's malignant. Your confusion with so much, I want this, but oh God, I know I have a real bad cough, but oh God, I must smoke my cigarette, boy. I can't do it without my cigarette. You follow? So the mixed messages, I told you already, intuition gives a clear message.
Yeah.
Stop smoking. That's all it will tell you. But you going all around and spending money with therapists and all of that to try to define who you are. When you facing it, stop smoking. But the noise confuses you and confuses now. So they're recognizing now your emotional makeup affects your physical activity and will immobilize or energize. So if you place the command as how you would like it and say, hey, this is the chapter that I taken real good care of, and I want to put all my scuds towards it. Not in a kind of with finality. The nice thing about it is, even though you're going about it in this resolute way, you're open to any eventuality. So just imagine that if the chrysalis was to argue with the caterpillar, who was the stage before, and say, look at you, all you doing is eating. You with me?
Yeah.
Because he had to eat that amount, because when he reached the chrysalis stage, which is our stage of reflection, where we have time, be quiet. Nobody in our ears. You could turn off the TV. You could turn off all the noises. We now on our own. We are the chrysalis in this invisible cocoon.
Yeah.
That was why you was eating all along, because now you're on a fast. But the fast now is not eating. The fast is about, as you said it correctly, who now you realize you have to drop. You remember Yadla Van Zandt say, if you're reaching the mountaintop, your wagon can't be full of all them things and people that you have to drop off.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that? So I just put in this mental picture, which I internalize, and I say here now, trying on your own is like fighting against a force that is bigger than you.
Yeah.
It's like a little ripple in a wave saying, I'm not going to the shore because I am me. I stay in me. I'm not going to the shore. It built in that it will have to be in the shore and recede. That's how we are. We moving to be the butterfly. And more than that, as you say, your potential is already there. We already wired for it. It is all there, like the little frog who will use the leg that fold up for it to leap because it atrophy. It atrophy by not being used.
Exactly. Anyway,
so if you understand, we have it.
Yes. Jennifer, you are going to say something because we have 5
Jen said, right.
minutes.
So now Jen.
I'm agreeing. I understand the concept, and I was just going to tie up. I always use energy, so it's about the same thing that I have been taught that your body is an energy system.
Definitely.
And you have control of the energy, what you're letting in and what you're releasing, which is along the same concept. And basically, we look at the different levels. And at this stage, at our 3rd stage, we really strive to be at that high level because we release all we should be. Let me put it this way, releasing, and you go back to all the baggage, all the hurts, everything that we brought forward and we going through in those past years. At this stage, at this 3rd act stage, we should really go with our energy. And I agree, spirituality has a lot to do with that. So we may find, some of us may find that, wow, we reached this level, the highest energy level. And it could be a little scary and intimidating for others.
Correct.
Because they want to know how she reached so powerless. But it's nothing to do. This is how you are. Your body, because you have gone through all the system, releasing as you go along. And one thing I agree with, when you release, you gain more power. Because you're shedding the load. You're shedding that load, all the negativity, and you're gaining more power within yourself. So when you reach this stage, you feel you have that power. A lot of things not affecting you. Like you have a shield around you and it bouncing off of you. Others may not understand because they have not been releasing as fast or over the years. they kept their baggage. And that's all I have to say. So it ties in with what you have said, with what
Pretty
Terri and has explained.
precisely. And
it's
keeping
about
your baggage.
maintaining and being aware that you
Correct.
have to keep releasing and releasing, like you're shedding
Correct.
and you're peeling.
Jen, you
Because
have
we at this
spoken
stage,
such
hey, this is the
brilliantly.
time. We have done all
Brilliantly.
that. We went through that. Hey, we should be
but
so light
we
and
did
happy.
it.
You see what?
Correct. And
should be at a
just
high
how Bob
stage
Marley
now.
say, you
Yeah.
have to lighten up your life. You got to
Right.
lighten up your life. That's what it is. And
I thought
therefore,
it used to be
know,
light up, but it's just season, but it's not light up.
Lighten up.
Okay.
Listen,
simply put, for me, I am just going to say it is not now about doing. It is about being. And in that beingness, we have to undo what was done to all of us.
absolutely.
And don't blame anybody, because they did it to the best of their knowledge and ability. But it was what was done to us. We are now shedding load. And according to how the more rambunctious ones would say, who vex, Lord? Sorry, we coming through.
That's it.
Yeah.
Coming
Yes,
through.
Terri Ann.
I think this was simply excellent. And, my thing is, we ask the question, how loyal have you been to your passion? Our generation is all about loyalty. We understand loyalty. And I think the worst thing we could be disloyal to is ourselves. So
Correct.
embrace your power. Join us in the Jamboree. And let's really start take steps to that self-effort.
Yeah.
Love
We have a
Self-effort.
lot to rap about. Yeah.
That's right.
Thank
Some have
you
to use a
very
walking stick to get up to make the effort. Some have to press down on the couch to get up to make the effort. You're
much.
making
me
it.
going.
Martin Luther King say, if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But keep moving. That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Don't worry, I'm gonna be hopping along with my knee right now, but I'm gonna be there.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Rouse. This was
You're most welcome.
excellent. And listen, folks, this is part 1 and part 2. We have a part 3, but that will be after the Jamboree. And that one, you will hear in due course. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rouse.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye. everybody.
Bye and see you all Tuesday.
Oh, Jennifer, are you loyal to your passion? Have you taken charge
Definitely.
of your power?
And you know what? Listen to me.
Wow.
You know the points that Dr. Rouse brought out, really, Terri Ann. Actually, I'm so excited for us to meet again with Dr. Rouse. We have to go into part 3 because that is so much information here that we need to do a part 3. And that will be after, as we said, after the Jamboree. Yeah. So that's wrap session would be fantastic. Those 2 sessions we're going to be having at the Jamboree with Dr. Rouse. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would be something else.
But listen, we hope you have found your power and you are ready to, the self-effort of self-love to really enjoy the third act stage. So take care. See you next week.
Okay, bye for now.
Good.
50 Plus Tribe and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.